What's up, everybody? It's Chris Lee back with another United Destiny Entertainment tutorial video. Hey, check this out. If you're new to this channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell to get more videos like this in the future. All right, so check this out, guys. What I'm going to be doing with this video is I'm thinking about treating this as another portion of the Pro Tools series videos for beginners, simply because I want to show you guys how you can utilize your EQ. Now, again, I make a lot of my videos from beginner all the way up to the expert level, but for right now, this is going to be more beginner based. Reason being is because I just want you guys to simply understand the concept of EQ without trying to be too technical about it, if that makes sense. So in the process, I just want you guys to kind of get like the idea of how to use the EQ in the process, so you guys can start utilizing it to start recording some of your music. That way you're not spending a lot of money, you know, with engineers or whoever to try to mix and master your music. Now, I am not saying in any way not to utilize professional audio engineers, because that's something that I do as a profession. That's how I feed my family, right? And I know that I can do things that you probably cannot. But I just want to give you a general understanding. So we're going to jump right into it. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and play this vocal.
Cause I'm on my way, can't block my shine. Even legend at dark times, I'm a shine brighter than yesterday.
Okay, so what I did real quick was I just right clicked here, and I'll do another video on it, but right click and hit zoom controls because I want to be able to see all the good stuff. Okay, so now that vocal doesn't sound bad.
Way, can't block my shine. Even legend at dark times, I'm a shine brighter than yesterday.
Okay, so that's not a bad vocal, but what I want to do is just go ahead and show you guys some stuff with the EQ. So if you're new to Pro Tools and you want to learn how to use EQ, you just go ahead and insert by clicking the little dot here, and then you go in and you find your EQ. We're going to start off with something that Pro Tools come with. A 7-band EQ work just fine. Now, this is what I'm going to do. Here you have a lot of different parameters inside of Pro Tools that's going to pretty much pertain to what this EQ is about. Now, you're going to have different things like your high pass filter, low pass filter, okay? Then here you have low frequency, low mid frequency, which is LMF. And then you have mid frequency, HMF for high mid frequency, and then high frequency. These are going to be your different parameters for the different frequencies on the EQ. It's going to be very important that you understand how to use this, because if you had no other plugins whatsoever, I can guarantee you that the EQ goes a long way and can actually do a lot for your music, your instrumentation, your vocals, everything. It's just going to make everything sound a lot cleaner and crisp, okay? But there are some other things that you can utilize with it to make it sound either more muffled or have more low end, or add body to something, or take away from it to make it sound like a radio or a telephone or somebody in person, or clean up room tone or unwanted frequencies. That's what this EQ is going to be used for. It's called equalizer, right? But I just say EQ in the process. But now, just to make it like really short and simple, here you have 20 hertz, and it can go all the way up to 18 dB, which is overkill. I really don't recommend that you boost a whole lot if you don't have to. I've never seen anything have to be boosted over 6 plus dB, but you know, you utilize whatever you got to utilize to get the mix sounding right. But in a process here, it's 20 hertz and 20 kilohertz. That's the range that we can hear most as humans, right? In our frequency range. Now, the majority of the time, most of us can't hear anything under 60 hertz, they say, but some will beg to differ. 20,000 kilohertz can be extremely high, so you always want to be careful when you utilize that type of stuff. But in this section here, you're just going to have like input. So this is more like a gain section. Input, output, gain. This is just going to increase the level of either the gain levels and the output. So it can make the sound really sharp, louder, ear piercing, if you will. A lot of things with the low pass and the high pass frequency. Check this out. So if you click this here, this end button is going to be able to enable this section here. So the high pass filter, if you notice what it's doing here with the Q, is just going to, it's basically going to round off how much of the EQ or the vocal you want to actually be EQ'd in a process. So you just change the dB of however much you want to go ahead and adjust that to. But more so here is a frequency. This is really important. So anything that's between like 5K and like 20K, that's going to be considered like a high frequency. Anything that's more so like, I would say, just to be on the safe side, 1K and 5K is going to be more like high mid frequency. Mid frequencies is going to sit around a little bit more between, like, I would say, you know, probably 500 hertz to 1000 kilohertz, and then anything, you know, from more so like 100 to 500 is low mid frequencies, and low frequencies, anything pretty much under 100 hertz or maybe even 60. I would say about 100 for me, I would consider low frequency in the process. Okay, so now when it comes to understanding the vocals and how to EQ your vocals, let's start off with doing something on making the vocals thinner. How would you make vocals thinner? Vocals have a lot of low end frequency and low mid frequencies. You would want to cut those low mids and low frequencies to make the vocal sound thinner. So that's what we're going to do right now. So we're going to do a high pass filter. High pass filter means cut off the lows and let the highs pass. Low pass filter means cut off the highs and let the lows pass. Okay, so in the process, we're just going to hit in. And check this out. Listen to the vocal.
Way can't block my shine. Even legend at dark times, I'ma shine brighter than yesterday. Way can't block my shine. Even legend at dark times, I'ma shine brighter than yesterday.
So what I'm doing right now is a technique called frequency sweeping, or you know, sweeping frequencies, however you want to call it. What I'm basically doing is utilizing the EQ to sweep across the frequency spectrum to see which frequencies I like and I don't like, and which ones I want to cut, and which ones that I want to boost, or which ones that are harsh, or which ones that may need a little something to it. Okay, so if you notice, here's the top end of this vocal. You can just really hear the top end of the vocal. But naturally, in this situation, for a lead vocal, that's not something that we want to utilize for this vocal. We want this vocal to have some type of body. So I'm just going to bring it back. Okay.
Can't block my shine. Even legend at dark times, I'ma shine brighter than yesterday.
Now, if you notice with that frequency, once I start to get there around 244 hertz of it being cut out, I still can hear some of the mids of the body of the vocal as well as the highs. I kind of like that, but I want a little bit more added to it. So in the process, what I'm going to do is bring it back a little bit more.
Way can't block my shine. Even legend at dark times, I'ma shine brighter.
If you notice that frequency range right there, it kind of had like that nice body that you actually would want to hear in a vocal. So let's hear that again.
Way can't block my shine. Even legend at dark times, I'ma shine brighter than yesterday.
Okay, let's go ahead and pull it back.
Way can't block my shine. Even legend at dark times, I'ma shine brighter than yesterday.
That's even better. I actually like that frequency of it being cut there around almost 90 hertz, because it sounds not muffled, not too bright. It just sounds like the warmth that I needed. Now I can go back and add some of the top end and the mids to give it a little bit more body. So just remember that number right now, okay? 89.4. So let's say we cut that off right now. Now let's hear the vocal.
Way can't block my shine. Even legend at dark times, I'ma shine brighter than yesterday.
And I do love the vocal as is, but in the process, again, we're just teaching you guys in the process. So now with the low pass frequency, it's going to cut the top frequencies, the high end frequencies, and it's going to make the vocal sound more muffled, if that makes sense. So check it out. So we'll just go ahead and turn that up to about 12. Now here we go. I'll even go 18. Make it fair.
Way can't block my shine. Even legend at dark times, I'ma shine brighter than yesterday. Way can't block my shine. Even legend at dark times, I'ma shine brighter than yesterday.
Now, if you can hear that, it basically sounds like somebody's in a closet with 5 blankets under a pile of clothes on top of them, you can't really hear them that well, right? So in the process, what you want to do, this is going to help you when you have like a bunch of unwanted frequencies in your vocal, and say you want your vocals are sounding too bright. This is something that you will utilize. You will cut some of that high frequency to kind of muffle the vocals a little bit, or dampen that clarity to make the vocal sound either a little bit warmer, or take away some of the sibilance, or the harsh S sounds or high end sounds. This is when you would utilize something like this. Now you could also do cool different effects in your music, like I do all the time. Either it's radio effects stuff, or making a vocal sound like it's underwater, just different things like that. I've mixed short films. I've done things where I've mixed vocals for underwater, in space, whatever the case may be. That's just the type of things that I do. So check it out.
Even late in the dark times, I'm a shine brighter than yesterday.
So what'd be cool is, say if you did like a little effect.
Way can't block my shine. Even late in the dark times, I'm a shine brighter than
to ramp it up or whatever the case may be, do like any type of automation, which I'll be doing another video on that. So make sure that you subscribe to this channel, because I'll show you how to do some cool automation for your vocal effects and things like that. Okay, so now in the process, this is what I would want to do.
way can't block my shine.
So say if I like the vocal like this and I just want to take some of that top end off, this is what I would do.
Way can't block my shine. Even late in the dark times, I'm a shine brighter than yesterday. Way can't block my shine.
Without it?
Even late in the dark times, I'm a shine brighter than yesterday.
With it.
Way can't block my shine. Even late in the dark times.
So if you notice, once I cut on and off that low pass filter, you can actually hear the clarity pop back into there. But also with it on, you can actually hear me take some of that clarity out of the vocal to make it sound a little bit better, because I'll do a lot more things if there was a bunch of instrumentation involved in this. But right now, there's no high instruments or low instruments or whatever the case may be. Now, why is this important? Because if I had like a sub kick or a sub bass or a low end kick that was gonna basically clash with the frequencies of the vocals, then it would be important to use a high pass filter to go ahead and cut some of those low frequencies, so this vocal can pierce through that actual low frequency of that instrument. Same thing with the top end. Sometimes when you have too much top end of the vocals and you have stuff going on like guitars or things that has like really sharp instrumentation or whatever the case may be, those frequencies will tend to clash and cause a distortion. So distortion, you're going to hear a lot of clipping, raspiness in a vocal. That's not something that you want. So what you have to do in the process is EQ the vocals so they don't clash with the instruments. That's how you're going to get your vocals to sound good whenever you're singing over an instrumental or an instrument or whatever the case may be. The parameters down here in general, they're just going to be kind of like the same thing. So here you have the gain level, you have the frequencies, which we just went over, and then the Q level again. That's gonna determine how wide or thin or how broad of the spectrum that you cover of that frequency. So just to keep it really simple, if I go ahead and play this vocal. Now let's say if I wanted to do like a low pass frequency, because these symbols here is more like shelving. So I would definitely say in a process, what I normally do, I'll just show you exactly what they do. So if you click this one, it's going to cover more like a wider open spectrum between 6,000 kilohertz all the way up to 20,000 kilohertz. That means that anything between 6,000 kilohertz and 20,000 kilohertz is going to equally boost those frequencies, okay? But if you switch to this one here, it's going to more so round it off. So once it gets between like say 6,000 kilohertz and on here, based off here, once it gets to about 10,000 kilohertz, it starts to duck off. That means that EQ is not going to cover or boost across the entire spectrum between 6,000 kilohertz and 20,000 kilohertz. It's going to start to go down once you get to a certain frequency. I feel like they're both effective, but it just really depends on what you're utilizing it for when you're mixing. Now, in a process, if I just wanted to boost this vocal, that's what I'll do. So I'll just go ahead, hit end here, and I'm gonna boost this vocal.
Way can't block my shine.
The gain is gonna cut it up or it's gonna cut down. Anything in the negatives is gonna cut it down.
Way can't block my shine.
Boost.
Even legend at dark times, I'm a shine brighter than yesterday.
Now that's pretty sharp. It may work out for you in whatever particular situation you want to utilize it for. Me, I'm not going to tell you as an engineer that I have to slap a bunch of rules on you and tell you what you can and can't do. I'm going to just tell you if it sounds good, then it's good. If it doesn't, then you need to either go back to the drawing board or you need to pull back some.
Way can't block my shine. Even legend at dark times, I'm a shine brighter than yesterday.
Now this could be very useful in every one of these frequency ranges, because say if I like the vocal as is and didn't need to use the high pass filter or the low pass filter, I would say, man, you know what? I like the way that the vocal sounds, but in the process, what I want to do is go ahead and take some of the low mid frequencies away. So that's what I'm gonna do.
Way can't block my shine. Even legend at dark times, I'm a shine brighter than yesterday.
And you want to use the frequency to sweep to see which range you like and which range you don't like.
Way can't block my shine. Even legend at dark times, I'm a shine brighter than yesterday.
Now that's not bad. Okay, as far as the vocal. Now say if you wanted to boost something in the mid frequencies for whatever reason, then you can do that too.
Way can't block my shine. Even legend at dark times, I'm a shine brighter than yesterday. Way can't block my shine. Even legend at dark times, I'm a shine brighter than yesterday.
So during your frequency sweeping, you just want to basically only adjust these parameters when necessary. If you hear something that is bothering you, then take it out. Find that frequency, cut it at that frequency. Don't boost it. If you feel like you have a vocal and it's lacking some body or some clarity, then go to either the low mid frequencies or the low frequencies and add a little body to it. I always say between 200 and 300 hertz is a really good spot for, you know, males. Sometimes females, it's a little bit more than that. Sometimes it's between 60 hertz and, you know, 200, 300 hertz. It really just depends. Use your ears and it will definitely tell you what you want to cut and what you want to boost in the process. Don't overthink it. Always remember that sometimes a little bit goes a long way, but I have had clients to where some songs I only need one EQ, one compressor, some reverb, and some delay. While other clients who don't record in treated environments, I have to use 3 EQs, sometimes 2 compressors, and I just have to get really surgical with the vocals. Why? Because everybody records in different recording environments. If you're recording in an open room or an open bathroom or open, you know, space with no treatment on the walls, no furniture in the room, it's going to sound really open, reflective, and echoey. But if you are recording in a treated space with, say, acoustic panels and some furniture and some rugs or blankets in a room, then the sound is going to be really flat, damp, and it's going to be more so like a dry tone or a dry sound. That's what you want to go for when you're recording. If you want to go for that open sound, then that's totally up to you. It's just personal preference. So in this situation, all I really wanted to show you guys was how you can utilize these parameters. Now, if you want to know about the output or the input, just to be short.
Way can't block my shine. Even legend at dark times, I'm a shine brighter than yesterday.
It's simple. Now check this out.
Way can't block my shine. Even legend at dark times, I'm a shine brighter than yesterday.
Okay, so check it out. This more so is like a phase for like polarity. And I'll explain more about that in another video. We don't have to worry about any of that right now. So I would say, as an engineer who mixes for a lot of clients all the time, I would definitely say high pass and low pass filter goes a long way. It goes a long way. But what you do with the parameters down here will definitely determine the clarity of your vocals. Also, another thing that I want to show you is that whenever you want to save this stuff, just go ahead and click this, save setting as, clean vocal. Boom. That way, once you come in this drop down box, you click here, you're going to have a lot of different presets that you saved, or you're going to have ones that they already have for you inside of Pro Tools. So if you're utilizing drum overheads or drum or electric guitar, piano, hi-hats, it's just going to show you different effects that it has. So you just click one, whichever one that you may be utilizing, and it's going to give you a good starting point. It's common that they give you these presets to kind of help you out. Should you utilize them? Probably not. I mean, you can, but it's just going to give you a starting point, and then you can go in and tweak them. So like it gave me a starting point, but I can move this and adjust it. And if I want to add one, I just click this parameter here and go up and down, whatever I want to do in the process. So if I want to go back to the vocal that I already had, clean vocal, boom, ready to go. Anything that I want to utilize. Now, another thing that I want to show you quickly is bypass is on and off. So bypass means that you're going to turn the vocal effect off and on. When it's lit up like this, that means that it's off. You don't see anything. When it's unchecked, you're going to actually see that you can see the frequencies in the spectrum. So that'll let you know that it's on. Preset, again, I already explained that to you. You can save it here. As far as the EQ, if you want to go in and change like a particular EQ, you just click it here, drop down, and it'll let you know. Up here, these are going to be different inserts. If you're using any type of outboard gear, whatever the case may be, a lot of that stuff is going to be important too, and I'll show you that in another video. And then obviously here, it's telling you exactly what the vocal is, or the name of the vocal is. So that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to show you guys in this video. I really recommend that you guys just test it out. Do like some outer space effects, underwater, in a closet, under a blanket, bright open in your face, anything that you do like that. What you do with the EQ is definitely going to take your music a long way. I know that this video seemed really long, but the EQ is so important. So I could have went into a whole bunch of more stuff, but I didn't want to. I just kind of wanted to give you guys a general idea of how these parameters work. As far as like the Q, this is just basically going to show you when you move this up and down, the thinner it's going to be. And when you move it, when you change the frequency, the wider it's going to be. This could be important too. So if you feel like, dang, I got the frequency that I want, but the problem is the range, it's not covering enough that I need. It's too narrow. It's too thin. Okay, well, make it wider so it can cover more of that frequency, making the vocal sound better. That will be important depending on how surgical you have to get with the vocal, but the majority of the time, people don't have to do all that. So guys, I really hope that this video helped. If it did, please give me a thumbs up. If it didn't, give me a thumbs down. Leave me some comments. Let me know what you think. I just made this video quickly to kind of help you guys out. I'm really trying to get to 100K subscribers. So if you can, please hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell to get more videos like this in the future. In the next video, I'll be talking to you guys about some compression. Stay tuned.
Night Dusty Entertainment.